Good morning, Year 1, and happy Tuesday. Today in our maths lesson, we are going to be looking at that word mass again, and we're going to have a go at comparing lots of different objects, so more than one object, and we are going to compare their weight, their mass, and we're going to see if we can use those words heavier and lighter again. So let me share my screen and I'll show you exactly what we are up to this morning. So today is Tuesday, the 23rd of February, 2021. And today we are going to find out how do brilliant mathematicians compare mass. So we're comparing the weight of lots of different objects. And we'll start by doing a warm-up where you're going to see if you can help me order some coconuts today. And then we'll have a look at comparing those objects using the words heavier and lighter. Then I'll set you off on some challenges, and then at the end of the lesson, we'll come together and we'll mark and share our answers together. So let's have a little look at what you need today for your lesson. Because today you're going to need your pencil, your notebook or a piece of paper, and of course we're going to need those maths brains, so we'll warm those up in just a moment. And if you can find your whiteboard pen and your whiteboard, we'll need that for our warm-up game in just a moment too. So if you need to go and find anything for today's lesson, if you pause the video here and come back when you're ready. Brilliant job, everybody. Brilliant. So we are back together and we have got a coconut game to play today. So I am hopefully going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment, and I am going to now share a coconut game together. So we have got a little bit of a challenge here because I've got some coconuts on the stand and we've got to see if we can knock them off together. So I've got my little ball here, and to start with, I've got to look at this order down here. It looks like I've got to knock off the smallest number first, then the next, and then the next, until we knock over the largest, the biggest number at the end. So you could use your whiteboard for this to show me which number to knock off, or you could just shout out the answer if you want to talk to your screen and shout it out to me. So we've got the numbers 4, 15, 7, 20, and 6. And what we've got to do is we've got to shout out or write down the smallest number. So have a little look. Look at the 10s and the 1s. There's some single digit numbers there. Which one do you think is the smallest number? Get ready to shout it out or to show me on your whiteboards in 3, 2, 1. I wrote number 4 down and across, then down to the floor. Did you shout number 4? Should we give it a hit? There it goes. Brilliant. Well done. So our number 4 is our smallest number that is gone down the bottom here. So which is going to be our next number? Remember, we're going from the smallest all the way up to the biggest. So we're looking for the next smallest number. Can you write it on your board? Can you shout it out to me in 3, 2, 1? Show me. We had 4. Now I've gone for number 6. Let's see if it's the right one. And there it is. We've got our number 4, then our number 6. So which is that one that is going to be in the middle of our sequence? Can you write it on your whiteboard? Or make sure you write it the right way around if you pick the same number as me. And show me those boards in 3, 2, 1. Shout it out. We've gone 4, 6. I think it is the number 7 that we need to hit next. Let's give it a go. And there it goes. We've got 4, 6, 7. Now we've got 2 numbers here that have got 2 digits. That means it's got some 10s, and that means it's got some 1s. So which one has the most 10s? I've got 1 10 here. I've got 2 10s there. That has to be my biggest number. It's got more 10s. So I think I know which number to hit off next. Write it on your whiteboards or shout it out for me in 3, 2, 1. I've gone for 15. We've got 1 10 and 5 1s. Should we give it a hit? There it goes, which means our last number in our sequence should have been 20. It's got 2 10s, but it's got no 1s. Let's give it a hit. Is it our largest number? Let's give it a check. Excellent, brilliant job. So you know the idea of our game now. So we can rub off our whiteboards and you can have a go at ordering these numbers for me. So grab your whiteboards and have a go at ordering your numbers from the smallest to the largest. And then we'll do our coconut knockoff. So I'm going to rub my board off and I'm going to do it with you. Which one's the smallest number? I'm going to write that on my board. Oh, there's lots of big numbers next. So we've got to look at the 10s and the 1s. Oh, got lots of numbers that have got 1 10. So we'll have to look at the 1s to order them correctly. Okay, write them on your whiteboards. What do you think? Smallest to the biggest. Okay. See if you can show me your whiteboards in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Show me. So I've gone for 8 as our smallest number, then 11, then 12, 13 and 20. And it got a bit tricky in the middle here because they all had 1 10. And I had to look to see which had the least 1s. So there was only 1 1 in 11, there's 2 1s in 12, and there's 3 1s in 13. Did you get a similar order to me? Let's see, I'm going to follow my order and I'm going to knock the coconuts down. So I'm going to go for number 8. I'm going to go for number 11. Then number 12, number 13. And the largest number was 20. Should we give it a check? Brilliant. Fab job, everybody. Well done. Now we're going to stop sharing our screen there. And we have got our brains nice and warmed up now. So we can rub our whiteboards off and we can see what our next challenge is. So let's go back to sharing my screen where we're going to be having a little look at that word mass that we looked at yesterday. I remember it was a bit confusing, wasn't it? Because we're in our maths lesson, but we're looking at mass, which is the weight of something. So I have got some objects to compare today. I'm not just looking at one object. I'm not looking at 2. I'm looking at 3 objects. I've got a car here. I've got a bike and I've got a train. And then I've got this line, this scale going down the bottom. And it's asking me to put the lightest object at this end. Then the next lightest object, and then the heaviest one. A bit like our coconuts when we were going from the smallest to the biggest number. But we're now looking at the words lightest and heaviest. Now, I don't know about you, year 1, but I don't think these objects are in the right order. I've got a car being the lightest. And then I've got a bike. Oh, I think a bike might be lighter than a car. I could pick up a bike, I couldn't pick up a car. And then I've got the train as the heaviest. Now, I think we need to reorder this. Let's have a little look together. I think the lightest object would be the bike. You can lift up the bike, but you can't lift up a car or a train. Then I've said that the car is the next lightest. It's in the middle if we were comparing all those objects. It's heavier than the bike, but I don't think it is going to be heavier than a train. So I think the car is lighter than the train, which means my train does come at the end. I think my train is the heaviest object and my bike is the lightest. So my car sits in the middle here. Let's have a go at these next objects and see if you can help me. So this time I've got a house, a brick house. I've got a tent, which is made out of fabric. And then I've got a huge castle. Oh my goodness me, have I got them in the right order? Lightest should be this side and the heaviest should be this side. I tell you what, let's get our whiteboards back. And this time, before I show you the answer, let's draw a little line on our whiteboard like this, right down the bottom. And then on one side, let's put the ul to show that we are going to do the lightest this side. And then let's put a at the other end to show that we're going to do the heaviest. And now I want to see if you can draw the pictures in the right order. So which picture are you going to put in the lightest part of our drawing? Which is going to go in the middle and which is the heaviest? See if you can have a go now. I'm going to do it with you. I think that's going to go at the lightest. What object's going to sit in the middle? You have a go on your whiteboards with me. And I'm going to draw that one at the end, I think. Okay, have a little go. Which one of you put down by the lightest end and which one of you put in the middle and at the heaviest end? Okay, get ready to show me your boards in 3, 2, 1. Now, have a little look at mine. I wonder if it's similar. I've gone for the tent that's made out of fabric to be the lightest object. I've put my house in the middle and that huge castle, which is going to be much bigger than a house at the end. So it's going to be much heavier if it's bigger. I wonder what you put down. Should we check our answers together now? So the lightest object, yes, it was the tent. It's made out of fabric. We can even put up a tent and we can fold it up. Some people even go up mountains with the tents on their back so they can carry them. The one that is heavier than the tent is the brick house. But the brick house is lighter than the castle because the castle is the heaviest object of them all. The lightest object was the tent, the heaviest was the castle, and the house is in the middle. So it's heavier than the tent, but it is lighter than the castle. Good job, everyone. You can wipe those boards clean now, and you can put your lid on your pen, because I just need your help with one more comparison before we get started with our challenge. Have a look here, because I've got my balance scales back. And I have got a balance scale here with an orange on. And on this balance scale, I've got a bottle of water. And we need to find out is the orange the heaviest or is the water bottle the heaviest? Now to do that, I need something in this side of the balance scales. I'm going to use cubes. Watch this. There's 1, 2, 3 cubes. And if you have a look at my balance scale, I am telling you that the orange is equal to 3 cubes because we haven't seesawed. I haven't got one side of my balance scale higher or lower than the other. They're the same height. So the orange weighs 3 cubes. Let's see how many the water bottle weighs. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, so we've got 6 cubes is equal to that water bottle. So I had 3 cubes for my orange and 6 cubes for that water bottle. So which is the heaviest? It's 3 cubes for my orange and it's 6 cubes for my water bottle. So which object is the heaviest? Well, it has to be the water bottle because there are more cubes on this side of the balance scale. It's the same as 6 cubes, whereas the weight of the orange is the same as 3 cubes. So my water bottle is the heaviest. And I'm hoping you can solve some of the challenges today by using that knowledge. Let's have a look at what they are. Because today, if you are up for the green challenge, you are going to be drawing that lightest and heaviest scale that we looked at earlier on our whiteboards. So you have got to use the words lightest and heaviest, and you've got to draw 3 pictures in the correct order, just like we did with our tent, our house, and our castle. If you are going to go on to the yellow challenge, you need to carefully count those cubes like we just had a go at doing with our balance scale. So you've got to count the cubes on each balance scale to compare each piece of fruit. And you've got to compare an orange, some cherries, and an apple. And if you are up for the red challenge today, you have got to read the statements, the sentences written about the bike, the car, and the train, and you've got to decide, is it a true sentence or is it a false sentence? So let's have a go. If you're up for the green challenge today, just like we did on our whiteboards, you're going to draw a big line on your piece of paper or in your exercise book. On one end of your line, you're going to write lightest, and on the other end, you're going to have heaviest. And you've got to order these objects for me, these animals. You've got a dog, an elephant, and a mouse. So you've got to draw those 3 animals in the correct order. And then draw a new line, label it heaviest and lightest, to do the order of these objects. How are you going to compare them? Which one is the lightest object? Which one is the next lightest, the one that will sit in the middle, and which is the heaviest? So if you're going to draw those pictures in the correct order for our green challenge, pause the video here. Now, if you're going to go on to compare my fruit for me, you're going to need these keywords, lighter and heavier. So you've got to have a look at all of these scales. I've got an orange, and you've got to count up how many cubes the orange is equal to. How many cubes is the cherries equal to? And how much does that apple weigh? You're going to have to count up the cubes. And then you have got to see which word fits in my gap here. It's going to be heavier or lighter. So question number 1, are you going to write the word heavier or lighter? The orange is something than the cherries. So you've got to see, is it going to be lighter than the cherries or heavier than the cherries? And see if you can have a go at all 4 questions. If you're going to do the yellow challenge for me today, pause the video here. And our last challenge is looking at these vehicles, these objects. We've got a train, we've got our bike, and we've got our car. And you can see here that the train weighs 3 cubes. It's equal to 3 cubes. The bike is equal to 1 cube. And the car is equal to 2. And you've got to read each sentence. So sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you've got to tell me if you think it is true or false. So in your book, you could write number 1, read number 1, the car is the heaviest. Now, do we think the car has the most cubes? Is it going to be the heaviest? And then in your book, you could write the word true or false. Or for ease, you could put a t for true, and you could put a f for false. So you can have a go at telling me true or false for all these sentences. If you're going to do the red challenge, pause it here and have a go. Okay, awesome job, year 1. Well done. Now we're nearly at the end of our lesson, which means we're just going to share our answers and have a look at our work together. So if you were doing the green challenge, you had to have a go at ordering these objects from the lightest all the way to the heaviest. So let's start with those animals. The lightest animal was the mouse. He's very small. You could pick that mouse up and probably have him just in your hands. He's that light. Then, a bit heavier than a mouse is a dog. So the dog would have gone into the middle of your line. And the heaviest one of all, I don't think we could pick this one up, was the elephant. So the elephant is the heaviest. The mouse is the lightest. That means the dog sits in the middle. He's lighter than the elephant, but he's heavier than the mouse. So well done if you drew those pictures in that order. Then we needed to have a look at our balloon, our parrot, and our plane. So hopefully you drew the lightest being the balloon. The balloon is the lightest object. Then there's the parrot. So the parrot is heavier than the balloon, but it is lighter than the plane. The plane's the heaviest object in this order. So well done if you got the order correct to compare those three objects. If you went on to do the yellow challenge, let's count those cubes to begin with. So in the orange scales, there were 5 cubes. So we know that an orange is equal to 5 cubes. The cherry was equal to 2. So hang on a minute, that's less already than the orange. There were 5 cubes for the orange and there's only 2 for the cherries. But the apple was equal to 6 cubes. So if we have a look here, that's our smallest number, isn't it? There's only 2 for the cherries. Looks like the orange is the middle number and 6 is the biggest, so the apple must have been the heaviest. So let's have a look at these statements. The orange is heavier than the cherries. So well done if you wrote the word heavier for question number 1. It's heavier because there's only 2 cubes for the cherries and there's 5 cubes for the orange. So the orange is heavier. Question number 2, the apple is heavier again. It's heavier than the orange. The apple is worth 6 cubes, so that is heavier than 5 cubes. Let's look at question number 3. The cherries are lighter than the apple. So the cherries were only worth 2 and the apple was worth 6. So the cherries are lighter. And then the last one says the apple is heavier than the cherries. So it's the opposite statement there, isn't it? I've said the cherries are lighter than the apple is heavier than the cherries. So well done if you got those 4 words for those questions. And let's have a little look at the red challenge because we were looking at being true or false for our red challenge. So let's have a little look at the answers. We've got 3 cubes here for the train. We've got 1 cube here for the bike and 2 cubes for the car. So the car is the heaviest. That's false. There's only 2 cubes there. The heaviest one is the train because it's worth 3 cubes. Let's look at question number 2. The train weighs the most. That's true because it has the most cubes on the other side of the balance scale. Number 3 said the bike is the lightest. Well, the bike only is worth 1 cube and all the other scales have more than 1 cube. So that's true. Well done if you got the first 3 correct. Let's have a look at question 4. The train is heavier than the car. Oh, that has to be true too, doesn't it? The train is worth 3 and the car is only worth 2. Question number 5 said, the bike is heavier than the train? I don't think so. That one is false. The train is worth 3 cubes. The bike's only worth 1. And the last one, the weight of the car and the train are equal. So do they have the same number of cubes? Well, the car only has 2 cubes and the train has 3. So no, that was false as well. So well done if you answered our true and false questions correctly. And you've done a brilliant job today, everybody, because we're now at the end of our maths lesson. And tomorrow we are still going to be measuring, but we're going to be measuring something different, and I'm going to share a new word with you. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another maths lesson. Bye, everyone.